The New Gods, issue 4, Ram V writing with Evan Cagle and Bernard Chang being the co-artist on this issue. So yeah, New Genesis is at war. The bad guy who has already like taken over Apocalypse is invading, and we see Highfather sending out the various upper generals to go and like try and do various things. And that one character who like takes on the entire army on her own looks like a badass for like 4 pages. It's really quite something. There you go, Shadowfall. That's the one. Yeah. So no, we got all that going on. Plus, obviously the baby protecting stuff with Scott and Barda on Earth itself. Yeah, so yeah, there's a little bit of a flashback and like young Highfather like effectively saying, "Hey, these mother boxes are pretty cool. This like energy that's in it. Oh, we should build a big one of those in the city. This really rely on all this stuff."
I need a building size one of those. Why? Don't ask. But I'm gonna need it for later.
Also, I think it's only these first like few pages that's the guest artist for this issue.
It's Chang,
yeah. It's just these like 3 pages though. There's
but every issue's had that though. Every issue's had that little section.
I think some issues have had more than others though.
Yeah,
because the first one had that entire like sort of prologue of like the universe. Like
6 or 7 pages.
Yeah, that was quite lengthy, that one. Yeah, so you get this little thing, this little backstory, and then you like, because I think there's a nice ironic like page turn here, where Highfather says something like, whatever your worries are, rest well knowing this, should any grave misfortune befall the dream that we build, I am Highfather and I will not let it fall. And then the first panel on the next page is just the buildings of New Genesis being bombarded with explosions.
This book surprises me because every issue I think, it's going to be more of the Scott Orion side of things. That's what we're going to be focusing on. And every issue is just New Genesis is at war. There is chaos.
It's really living up to the New Gods because we're seeing all of them.
No, it does. I mean, like that. The book is New Gods. It's not. It's not a Mr. Miracle. It's not an Orion, but like it's not their book. But because that feels like it's like got this inbuilt emotional core to it, it feels like that's where we're going to spend the bulk of things, and then it never is. It's
where the heart is, and I suspect that there might be an issue down the line where it does get like a lion's share of an issue. But it's treating it as this sort of steady like B plot almost, whilst the issues otherwise feel quite different to each other, issue to issue. But yeah,
instead of Shadowfall doing magic cosmic New God archery.
I love how Ram V is making this seem epic in the best way. Like these feel like actual mythological stories.
It feels huge, it feels big.
Yeah, and like we could say that the time that Shadowfall held off an invading army by herself, that's rad. He's really making new mythology.
I swear, I will be shocked if I don't accidentally call her Shadowheart at least once during this conversation. But yeah, there's a big full page where she sort of does this big magical. This is basically a video game ability where it's like, this is her super, where she fires like 100,000 like magic arrows into the air and they all come raining down onto the army.
This is a Dynasty Warriors game.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
Well, and she also says, "Sleep well, my sweets." At Shadows Fall. I was like, oh, she has a catchphrase? This is great. I love the New Gods. I went from like, the New Gods are cool, to like, I need more. So y'all can point me in some directions.
Have you read the Kirby Fourth World stuff?
I have not. I need to.
Just read that. So, there you go.
Okay. Like, you'll just go there.
Good time.
That's your Bible as far as New Gods go.
Well, don't let me, because I've fallen into beliefs for less than that. All right.
Well, luckily they're not trying to con you money at the donations. There's no basket going around.
If Jack Kirby says he needs it from the grave, I'll give it to him. All right.
Hey, if he's asking for it, there's got to be a good reason.
Duh, it's Jack Kirby.
Oh dear. So yeah, we cut to Earth.
I mentioned how much I love Barda.
Oh yeah. Barda's like beating up these soldiers.
You love Barda.
Yeah, I love Barda. She knocks the absolute piss out of Orion, which I love.
Well, that's later, dude. You're skipping ahead. Yeah. She's just beating up soldiers just now. as Scott is like trying to get to the kid and like try and like keep things calm and sort of like assure them that he's not there to hurt them. And then Orion shows up and it's like, oh, the 7-day head start is up, and Orion's like, look, we could have just done something else. And also as this is going on, like the mother box or whatever, the communicator that Barda has with the other guy, like she basically like finds out that New Genesis is at war. So it kind of feels like, oh, the news is spreading of this epic battle that we've seen some of just previously. Because it feels like a big deal that they would find that out and be like, oh shit, like all this is going on. And not that it's like directly tied necessarily, but it is loosely in the sense that, okay, this new god that has been born, obviously we got the backstory of like why, like, this previous older like second world god, like, eventually sort of like put his energy into like okay, this new god will be born when the universe needs him the most, and like here we are, we're at that dawn of time, and like I don't know, it feels so grand, it feels so big. I really like that backstory we got as well. Also, like one of the new gods, forgive me, I don't know a lot of their other Mangar, I think this said, or
Magnar.
Yeah. He's basically just collecting more and more metal scrap as he's fighting. So he's like a kaiju with just metal scrap.
He's pulling. So go ahead, Connor.
Because with the one green light at the eye, that's kind of Odin-esque.
Yeah. And and on top of that, right? So Magnar can control magnetism, right? Literally in the name. So he's taking scraps of these ships that they're destroying, and then making this big like kaiju golem out of it and using it to smash them. And like Connor said, it is very Odin-esque because the single eye, right? And again, it feels like another one of these epic big things, like the time Magnar built a suit of armor from scraps of down ships.
Here, though, that you can still like you can see all the scrap, but it's still recognizably a body. You can still see a head. Yep. You can make out a face. Enough features in the scrap, but so good.
Yeah, and then Carrick, who's the big bad guy coming for New Genesis, he is like willing to sacrifice ships and like men and whatever. Has no regard for the life of anyone, which makes sense because he's just this villain who wants to take over these new god planets. But I think it's interesting to me because they kind of state this out loud from both sides of the characters who are in this war, where there's like, okay, Carrick has a giant army. He has endless amounts of ships and people to throw at them. But the new gods on New Genesis do have more power, like individually. And right now they're able to fight them off. Like Shadowfall's doing a fine job with all these grunts that are landing first. But you do wonder, is there a point where the numbers just eventually are able to like wear them down and win? And there's a whole thing here where like the ship gets blasted out of the sky, or it's coming out of the sky, and it says Shadowfall like gets their big giant magical crossbow ready, and just there's a full page of the beam going through the ship. It's just a beautiful, again, really big, really epic, all that stuff.
Yeah, and Carrick has his words, right, where he goes, we'll lose a lot of ships, and he goes, yeah, some will crash and burn, but those who do not, we will have landed. And then he just sends a ship dead at Shadowfall, right? And that's where she unleashes that, but those other two get through. Yeah. And it feels like this big, it feels like we're watching an actual war go on.
Yeah, really good stuff. Then we go back to Earth, and Barda's kicking the shit out of Orion. It's a whole thing. But
less talking, more fighting. I love her. She's great.
With the classic kapow sound effects as well.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. But this is where the kid, the new god, starts to like light up. And we're not really sure why. I mean, Scott says, "Oh, something's changed, some kind of like surge of energy," and of course that might be directly tied to the fact that Highfather seemingly is putting on some like battle gear and getting ready to fight. It's like he's realized that, I can't just be this peaceful person anymore. I have to actually become the warrior again. So he comes out in this like ridiculous outfit.
Like, I know it looks ridiculous here, but I mean, like, Highfather's been, relatively speaking, in the scale of New Gods, benevolent.
Yes.
For all things. but to know he definitely has that power level in there, like, and now he's gonna bring.
Yeah, so he says it early on that he put away the scepter and picked up the shepherd staff, right? So meaning like I'm not going to rule on people. I'm going to shepherd them along the way. And as his role as the High Father, he is the direct connection to the source, right? So this gigantic mother box that he had built, eons ago, that is supposed to channel all the source, right? Like the mother box can. He channels it directly into him to give the rest of the new gods a surge, right?
Yes.
So it's almost like he's opening up the dam, and then when he comes out, he's in full armor. So when you're Messiah that essentially put down the war weapons and picked up a staff, comes out dressed in armor, you've done goofed up, right?
Yeah, but
like when you're
it further just kind of solidifies though that this is maybe the end of this like batch of new gods time on top. And it's interesting as well that I don't know if like he would have known that he'd also have sent this surge of power to this new kid who exists on Earth. Like he's also he's also receiving this boost from this like thing because I don't know, it's lots of interesting stuff going on. It keeps surprising me with like how it's developing its story. This felt so grand in scale. This issue, so
I like just some of the little bits in the art, like the visual touch of showing us that surge of energy is linked to activating the kid. Is the High Father's scepter staff. Like the symbol is there, and it's also to make it even clearer, it's on the next page as well when High Father walks out. Yeah, and it's not just that it's there; it's baked into the panel.
Yeah. Also, that first time it shows up on that previous page, it's there, but notably, it's there in negative space. It's not actually.
It is in the next page as well.
Oh, you're right. It is negative space in the next page. You're right. Yeah. But because it's white on this first one, and you realize that it's not drawn onto the panel. It's actually separating into two weird panels.
Through. Yeah.
But it's interesting though. I very impressed, and I guess I'm not surprised because Ram V kind of blew us away with his Swamp Thing, and even the Vigil in a lot of ways like did some really cool, interesting concepts. And it's nice to see that this seems to, at least going by the Kindle rankings, seems to be doing all right. Like people are showing up for it and realizing that it's actually very goddamn good.
Yeah. Also, I'm not surprised. Me and Matt are super into it. I think there was a moment where I was like, well, I thought Pete could have gone either way with this one. It's like giant sci-fi, like gods. It's getting extra mythological.
It's all about how it's handled, and I think Ram V he has a way of conveying the information that works and makes it feel big and grand. And even if I can't name you all the C-list new gods that might pop up in the background, it doesn't matter as far as understanding the intent of the story.
You just got Cagle's excellent art, like just doing so like. Obviously, you got like everything from the big battles, but then like the small things, like when Orion shows up on Earth and he's walking towards it, and he's got his rod, and it's like carving through the cement as he drags it, but it also goes into his face on the panel underneath, like carved through his mask as well. Like so good.
Yeah. No, very good. Yeah, no, this has been one of the highlights of the month for the last little while. I think it's fair to say. So no, cool. Matt, what are you giving the new gods?
I'm giving this a 9.5.
Oh,
just like Shadowfall.
I'm gonna go with a 9 still, which obviously is very high for me.
Yeah, I'm going with the 9 as well. It's excellent. Yeah, so I can't wait until Karlach and the other characters from Baldur's Gate 3 make an appearance in New Gods. That'll be fun.
Wait, I thought you were making up names for a second. Like New Gods that you're making up names for?
Shadowheart is one is
Yeah, gotcha.
That's why I was worried I'd flub and say that name instead, because I kept thinking Shadowheart in my head.
Shadowfall's so cool. And then Magnar made a kaiju out of parts. This is great. I love this book.